Today, we're here for a practice for peace for those who have been the victims of mass murders. It's sad to believe, but the news has reported over 1,000, well, almost 200 mass murders in the first 5 months of this year in this country. And the mass murders, the killing of more than 4 people at one time. In the past week, we've seen the murder of Black people in Buffalo and children in Texas. And so here we are gathered today to recognize, release, bring peace to all of the victims. And first, we're going to begin by recognizing and releasing the pain, though the pain will not be released for many days, months, maybe even years. And I begin this practice by saying, particularly for the mothers, even though I have not had a child, I've seen childbirth as a labor and delivery nurse, and I know the connection between mother and child is more than just emotion. It is actually physiological, biological, genetic, and it lasts forever. And that is why we have our ancestors and return to our ancestors for assistance and guidance in times of loss like this. And it is loss because these lives were full of life, not being ignored and taken violently, suddenly, shattering not only their own existence, but that of everyone who knew and loved them, everyone around them, and this whole country. And though it seems to some that we've seen so much death and so much violence, it doesn't matter. It's just another headline, but it isn't to those who have experienced the pain, to those whose lives have been cut short, all of their potential, all of their dreams, to those who gave their lives to these people with love and devotion. They're not idle statistics. They're not actors on a TV screen or movie screen. They were real, live, flesh and blood people just like you and me, and our children, and our spouses, and our friends. And we hate to make this personal. It doesn't happen to us, but if we don't take it personally, it continues to happen. So all that I can do is offer this practice for peace and more of them, and ask you to join, because as an energy healer, I believe and know the power of energy. And the greatest energetic power is the power of our own thoughts, our own intentions, our greater consciousness. So today we are here to use our energy to bring about peace, however long it may take. But particularly today, to remember to be present for those who have suffered recently and in the past 5 months, all of the victims. And we begin this by first releasing and recognizing the pain of violent, sudden death, the pain of loss, and the social and material sources that brought about that pain. Mass murders don't represent just one individual, just not the one shooter or perpetrator. There are social, material, mental, emotional factors that create a mass murder incident. And for the people most affected, it's not an incident, it's a life changing, sad experience. And we begin this session by we have now recognized and acknowledged the pain, and we will breathe now in and out 7 times to release that pain, to bring about some level of peace. So we begin. I will count. Breathe in. Breathe out. 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 So we have now released that pain from our present space. Doesn't mean that we don't feel it or that our hearts feel an emptiness and sadness, even if we're not related. But as a Black woman, as an aunt, I can feel the pain of those families. And it is in feeling others' pain that we can strive to prevent this from happening again, not only to ourselves, but to other people. And how do we do that? Through our intentions and thoughts, as well as our actions and words. And so now the intention of this practice is to bring peace, a sense of peace, to all of the victims of all of these mass murders in the past 5 months in this country. So this practice is for all of the victims, all of the deceased, all of the maimed, all of their family members, their friends, everyone who cared for them, the law enforcement, and even lawyers and judges and social services people, their colleagues, teachers, classmates, acquaintances, church people, And yes, to the family and acquaintances and the friends of the shooters, and to the shooters themselves, who are the biggest victims, because they carried weight so great, filled with so much of self denial and dislike, that they sought to bring it on others. And so the intention of this practice is to bring peace to all of these people, knowing that this practice will have to be repeated again and again, and eventually healing should be held, because the pain is so deep and the people, so many, afflicted and affected. But if we don't take these steps immediately and consistently, we continue this cycle that has been growing and growing through my whole lifetime. And I've been here for 7 decades. And they say this is the age of Aquarius. So we have to manifest that now with our intention every week, to bring peace into this material realm by calling on the energy of those who have ascended into a higher level of consciousness, but whose energy we can receive. And therefore now we are doing 7 breaths with our intention to bring peace to all of the victims of all of these mass murders of the past 5 months. Breathe in. Breathe out. 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 And now we are going to call on our ancestors. We are calling on them to be with us now in this space. This country needs the wisdom of our ancestors, because it's only ancestors, not just people who've just passed, but the ancestors are those whose energy has continued to evolve and grow, whether they've manifested in physical rebirths or different levels of energy rebirths, growing, learning, gaining wisdom to help us here on this material, in this material world that we create every day with our thoughts and our actions and our words. So we call on our ancestors now to enter this space, to be with us, to help us, because we are here to bring peace to those who are suffering. And we're calling on these ancestors, whether they are our biological ancestors, our family by marriage or adoption, our community, our cultural ancestors, our educational ancestors, our religious or spiritual ancestors, those who've experienced the truth of the energetic reality that energy is not created or destroyed. Thus, in the supreme wisdom of the energy of all are one, beyond our physical pains and problems and appearing differences that lead to sadness and disasters that have brought us here today to bring peace. And so now we are going to breathe in, calling our ancestors. Breathe in, breathe out. 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 Now we're here. We've called in our ancestors, those with the wisdom, and we now call upon them and let them know we are open to receive from our ancestors the guidance, the wisdom, the strength, the compassion we need for forgiveness and recreation. Because until we can find that within our own selves, how can we find it as a society? And so we continue with increasing and increasing and increasing levels of violence, unknown here. And in many other places, such mass murders of the innocents in a time when we are supposedly at peace in the country, yet our peace has been shattered. And so we have to call on our ancestors to bring their energy and wisdom to help us see what it is we need to do, how we need to think and intend, and the words we need to say and put out in the universe or on social media to bring about peace, not hatred, not violence, not revenge, not even reparations, because there can never be reparations. You cannot bring people physically back in the same form. They will be reborn, their energy will return, but that unique being, that unique physical being is gone. And we are here now calling on our ancestors to help those who are in such pain, including those who have been left this physical plane. This time has been so short. They are so closely connected to us now, their energy. And it is so important that we comfort them and let them know they are loved, that they are cared for, And they have ancestors waiting to help them through all of the fear, all of the confusion. And we here offer our intentions and prayers and breath and actions that they will find the strength and the peace to continue their journey without fear, without confusion. And so now, and we also call on this energy from our ancestors to enable us to understand what forgiveness means. And instead of seeking reparations, let us seek recreation. Recreation of the stories we continue to sell ourselves as communities, as individuals, as people. To stop telling ourselves the stories that limit us and keep us in boxes and keeping us separate. But today we are here primarily to establish peace. And now we do our last session of breaths, receiving from our ancestors in this breathing cycle the guidance, the wisdom, the strength, and the compassion to be able to act with forgiveness and recreation. Breathe in, breathe out. 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 Now, we have called upon our ancestors to receive their guidance, their wisdom, their strength, compassion as we move forward, striving for forgiveness and understanding and how to recreate our society that has become divided and harmful to the youngest and most vulnerable in our communities. And so now we take receiving that energy from our ancestors, letting it enter through the crown of our head, through the center of our head, like a golden light of wisdom and patience and understanding and effort beyond empathy into compassion, which means wanting to end the suffering of others, which means we have to step out of our comfort zones. And so we move into what is called our third eye, the center of our forehead, behind which is the pineal gland, which allows us to see, to discern, to understand that all people were once born as babies, just like yours or just like you. And somewhere along the line, we've all been influenced So we want to use our third eye to bring our wisdom and discernment deeper, to help us to be greater forces for understanding and communication and the ending of division and violence. And then we come to our throats, receiving again the energy from our ancestors for the right words spoken and written with the right intent for creating community and kindness and compassion. And then we go to our heart as the motivator and the source and the foundation for all of our actions, coming from a source of compassion and kindness and generosity and gratitude. And we finally end at our solar plexus, the center of our body, the source of willpower and discipline. And so now we have come to an end of this session of peace for all mass murder. And as we prepare to end, we say to all of the ancestors who we called in to enter our space, we say now, return to your own space and let us alone remain in our own space. I'll take 4 breaths. And now we are ending this practice of peace for all mass murdered. The first 5 months of 2022, with particular reference to the incident in Buffalo, New York, and the school shooting in Texas of 19 children and 2 students. And we end this practice on to begin and continue the practice in our lives day to day, to work to bring peace into our lives and into those around us. And even though we're sad, you must remember to breathe deeply, smile, and be grateful.